Hey everyone, welcome to a very special episode of In the Know with RV Pro. I'm with James Ashurst, Senior VP of Communications and Marketing at RVIA, that's RV Industry Association. Thanks for being on In the Know.
Thanks for having me here. It's great.
Yeah, you just flew in from...
I was out in our offices or whatever, so I flew in from Virginia this morning, DC area, so just got in a little over an hour ago.
Yeah, oh man. Well,
you were my first stop.
we're honored, honestly. Thank you for coming into the offices. We're just outside of Denver, so I mean, like, this is big to have you here, like, especially coming off of committee week.
Yeah, it was a great week.
Yeah, I imagine pretty busy.
It was very, very busy. It's always a very busy week, but it's a very rewarding week, and it's great to have that engagement from our members and having so many of them involved in our committees and having them involved in our advocacy efforts and going up on the Hill.
Right.
We had over 120 advocates from our membership companies and our member companies rather, and over 170 visits, including a visit over at the White House too. So
that's incredible.
A really great week.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, huge news. I think the biggest piece, correct me if I'm wrong, coming out of it was the announcement of the RV Technical Institute. Now, you know, I mean, I read about it, but, you know, tell me what it's about and what it hopes to accomplish.
You know, this is, you know, there's a lot of times people talk about an all-industry effort or whatever. The quote that someone told me during committee week was that this was the biggest all-industry effort since Go RVing was launched. So it certainly has some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
The industry has struggled, quite frankly, with keeping up the number of certified technicians, certified RV technicians. It's been an issue that has been around for many, many years. And it's an issue that has had a lot of different types of Band-Aid fixes to it.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of really good work by people in the industry that have tried to fix the issue. But it's obvious that it needs a major investment.
Right.
And it needs consistency. It needs buy-in across all levels with respect to how the training takes place, the curriculum that's used. All of that really just needs to be standardized as opposed to it being sort of a piecemeal effort. And that's really at the core of launching the Institute, is to get real consistent and have it be sustained.
Right.
And so that's really what this is about, because, you know, it's through that lens of trying to improve the RV consumer experience and improving, applying Six Sigma sort of metrics to this, which started 2 Louisvilles ago in a meeting between RVDA and RVIA and the leadership of both groups, and using repair event cycle times, which many industries use in terms of measuring how they're performing in the area of customer service. Applying those standards, having that be that benchmark, and really getting serious about recruiting and retaining the best we can in terms of technicians is really at the forefront of this.
Right. Well, I mean, and you talk about retaining and, like, I mean, how else are you going to be able to manage the 539,000 shipments this year? Like, that's a great number, but you want to keep these people coming back. You want them returning.
Yep.
So you need good service in order to accomplish that, I think.
Absolutely. This is one of those things where every single facet of the industry has skin in the game.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the consumer doesn't care how their product gets fixed. They just want it fixed.
Yeah.
And when you look at this emerging consumer, I mean, they really are just a push button consumer. I mean, with online and instant delivery now, the expectation level is just so much higher for this emerging consumer. And getting really consistent around how we use metrics to fix different areas.
Right.
Everybody in the industry is going to be part of that.
Right.
Everybody in the industry is going to benefit from that. And again, when we talk about growing and expanding the RV market, you can only have a certain level of growth if you're losing people out of the back end because of bad experiences.
Right, and I think, I mean, the plan is to open up in Elkhart. You know,
in the Elkhart area,
heart of the RV industry.
Yep.
So, I mean, you have
in
all
a
those
location
professionals.
TBD,
yeah, TBD.
Yeah.
When do you guys, like, start searching for that? Like,
there's going to be a task force formed pretty soon. I don't know the exact date, but we got to get started.
Cool.
So
Matt Wald was telling me a bit about the programs. I mean, you might even, like, ditch some textbooks here. You don't necessarily need that in order to certified techs in certain areas.
Matt and his team have really been leading around this area of curriculum, and there is so much really good curriculum that's out there. And I think the plan at this point is to take the best of the curriculum that's out there, fill in any holes or voids that we have, bring in some technical writers from the outside who have experience in building this type of curriculum, and then getting that approved product across the board so that the same thing is being taught at any one of the various different locations that are accredited to do the service training. So, you know, the curriculum is absolutely at the core of the success. And it is that, it's that not only textbook, but also video and also the practical hands-on stuff. Every one of them is so important in order to making this a success.
Yeah. Well, totally. And like talking about like making waves, the RVIA has just been, I think, you know, kind of crushing it this year. Like you guys have a new website, new logo. And the big news starting off like 2018 was RVX, the RV experience. Tell me a bit about the, you know, what sparked that redesign? Why do it?
You know, coming out of the show last year in Louisville, it became obvious you know, we've been trying to improve the National RV Trade Show over the course of the last 5 years and making, you know, different investments in different areas to try to improve the exhibitor experience, trying to improve the dealer experience. And it just became obvious that it wasn't going to work by doing it in increments.
Right.
Something really had to change.
Yeah.
And in talking to our member companies and talking to our dealer partners, the fact of the matter is there was already a buying show taking place. The open house is our industry's buying show from OEM to dealer. So we don't need to replicate that. But what the industry does need is an event that offers that sell-through to the consumer. So that's what really is at the core of this new reimagined event, RVX. It's about the industry. It's not about an arms race anymore.
Right.
You know, the arms race happens at the open house where they can show every single thing that they have. This event is going to be much more targeted, and we're asking the companies to only bring their latest and greatest. And again, some of it may be latest and greatest that people saw at open house and were then manufactured.
Right.
But they'll be the latest and greatest to the consumer who's seeing this. Not on hand because it's not a consumer show, but those will be the things that we will be promoting through this kickoff of camping season. And I think that's a real big point of why the show landed where it landed from a timing standpoint. You know, you could get 10 people in a room in this industry and ask them, you know, what time of year they think the show should be, and you might get 10 different answers.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you got to make a decision. It's got to be somewhere. And by putting it in the spring time frame, it creates a real opportunity for us to lead with media, lead with consumer media, get consumers excited about what's happening in camping, and then driving those consumers into RV dealerships across the country. And that's really the big change here. We've always been successful at the national show of bringing business press. You know, whether it's CNBC, whether it's Fox Business, we've gotten a lot of coverage across those. The Wall Street Journal, Dow Jones, all those different groups in the past. But we've really struggled to get the consumer media excited.
You want to reach deeper, like with Wired per se, something like that.
Absolutely, or even outdoor and lifestyle publications. You know, we were joking earlier. When you looked at the timing of Louisville and trying to attract consumer media, you're 4 days after Thanksgiving.
Right.
You've got Black Friday. You've got Cyber Monday. You know, Christmas is looming large. I mean, if we had tried to pick a time that was worse for a show in terms of consumer interest, I don't know that we could have with the previous event. So again, trying to create a timing that really excites the consumer around the media coverage and driving them into RV dealers is why RVX ended up where it was.
Well, and that's
or where it is, I should say.
Well, right, but that's also based off research, like showing that, you know, to get the consumer to get ready for summer. This is the time.
Correct.
This is the right time. You know, but like critics have said, like it's a hard time for them to like leave their store and go to this thing. I mean, but you know, after seeing the event, will that kind of, you think that'll kind of go by the wayside. And
yeah, and our show team, we've got work to do. I mean, we've got to sell this thing through, and our members actually have to help us sell this thing through to their dealer partners.
Right.
And we talked about that at the board meeting, that the only way this show is going to be successful is if we get buy-in from across the board. And the OEMs are the ones that have those closest relationships on the dealership front. Now, was really happy to hear RVDA announce that they were going to hold their board meeting in conjunction with the new event. So that's a great show of support from them.
Yeah.
But we're going to be out meeting with our OEMs. In fact, a group's in Elkhart right now. Our show team's in Elkhart talking with some folks now. And we've got meetings scheduled with dealers over the course of the next several months or whatever to get their feedback and also help to answer questions about why they need to be there.
Right.
So again, there's a bit of a sales job to do moving forward, but on the whole, people are starting to get excited the more we talk about what the event could look like.
Very cool. In July, is there?
There's going to be an event in Salt Lake where exhibitors and attendees can come out and get a sneak preview of the venue, see what it looks like, see the layout, see how it works, learn from the city about how they treat shows. Our events team will be there, as will the contractor that helps us with show layout. So it's a hands-on way for exhibitors and attendees to see how the event will work.
Great. Well, and all right. So we're going from June, July now to August. Last thing I want to touch upon here is that the aftermarket committee. I mean, you got RVIA for the first time taking charge of this conference. Tell me how much of a difference can we expect to see now that RVIA is involved?
You know, there's a task force that's made up of the aftermarket folks that worked on the event in the past that are helping to drive the direction of the event. So hopefully they'll see a level of professionalism that comes around the event. You know, I know we've got our own site up now about it, and it's being promoted, and people are registering, and so there's excitement for that. I think trying to be very strategic on how people hold their meetings, so people aren't having to go, really far distances. You know, it really is speed dating, of the aftermarket world, and it's how do we make sure that it's speed dating, but at the same time, it's not running people through a gauntlet to get work done. So I think there's been a lot of work on that front and a lot of great guidance from the aftermarket folks on ways we could make improvements. I think year one, you'll see improvements. I think when we look to 2019, there'll be even more improvements because the team will have had a chance to do it firsthand. But again, this is their event. They're driving the show. We're just providing the support on that, providing some ideas and some suggestions on how we can do certain things, and I think those have all been really well received, and we're really excited about a great week in August. One of the things we announced at committee week was that we're doing some specific research about parts and accessories, and a couple of the members of the aftermarket committee, John and Gary, helped really kind of drive what that research looked like. So we will be complete. That research will be completed, and we'll actually be announcing, at the very least, some of the top line data that came out of that. Though, so from a value add standpoint, in talking with the leadership at the aftermarket, it was when was the last time research was done, specific to your segment of the business, and no one could recall, almost ever. So I think just out of the gate, that'll be worth the price of admission to be there, just to have that top line data and have that rollout.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, there seems to be so much going on right now with you guys. This year is huge. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. I thank you for being here on part one. We're going to take a brief pause, but join us again tomorrow for part two of our interview with James Ashurst.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.